Have you been contemplating whether you should be doing your MBA or whether you should be doing an MS from abroad? Then hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Shatakshi, and on my channel I talk about all things MBA, all things skills, and all things travel whenever I'm traveling. So feel free to hit on the subscribe and the notification button so that you get notified whenever I'm on a chai break, so that you are doing cheers with me on chai and you get to learn a lot of interesting things with me.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's a very interesting topic, a very valid conundrum for a lot of engineers, a lot of science students, whether they should be studying an MBA or whether they should be studying for MS from abroad. And in this particular video, I am going to be doing a detailed comparative analysis, and feel free to stay tuned till the end if you also want to know who earns more. And let me know in the comment section if you have more conundrums like this. Happy to make more comparative videos so that you can get to make more informed decisions about your career. With that, let's get started. So somewhere on my screen, we will also have this detailed comparison, which will start just coming up right now. So let's start with certain context setting. I'm not sure how many of you know about Vinod Khosla. Vinod Khosla is a very celebrated Indian origin American entrepreneur, founder of Sun Microsystem, now of course a venture capitalist. He has done his MS and MBA both. Similarly, when you know or think of Sundar Pichai interestingly did his MS, if I'm not wrong, from Stanford. He also did his MBA from Wharton. So there are very few unique cases as well who have done both MS and both MBA, but at the same time, both MS and MBA. At the same time, it is pretty expensive to be doing both these things, and if you have more clarity at an early stage in life, you can actually save a lot of money for yourself and for your parents as well. With that, let's directly get into this analysis. Let me walk you through what kind of contents we are going to be covering in this analysis, and then we'll go through them one by one. So first and foremost, we'll cover the purpose. Why do you do MS, which is Master of Science, rather than an MBA? What are the example universities? What are kind of specializations can you afford to have if you do an MBA versus an MS? What kind of exams do you need to take? The prerequisites, the fees, the kind of jobs, and the ROI. We are going to be talking about all of them one by one. So, of course, when you talk about purpose for an MBA, largely the kind of purpose you have is that you either want to pivot into a management or a business role. On the other hand, when people do an MS, they are much more inclined, or they have a bend of mind towards research, towards technical roles. They want to do a PhD or they want to become a professor in academia at a later stage in life. So you basically, and this is I think the most important parameter that should help you decide which one do you want to do. Largely because what kind of interests you have, what kind of goals you have, what kind of life do you see for yourself is going to be one of the key reasons because of which you are going to choose whether you want to do an MBA or an MS. And of course, largely the MS programs are abroad. There are very few universities in India which provide an MS. Largely the MS version of India is an MTech. So in this video, I'm thinking from the point of view of MS abroad or MBA from India. You can do it, of course, from abroad as well. Which, of course, we talk about the example universities when we talk of the intention. In MBA, you have Tuck, Dartmouth, you have Stanford, Yale in US. These are the top most celebrated universities for MBA in US. Then you have London Business School, and then of course you have ISB back home in India. When you talk of Master of Science, you have the celebrated universities in US are MIT, California Institute of Technology, Stanford, University of Cambridge in UK, and then University of Melbourne in Australia as well. Mind you, this is not an exhaustive list, this is an illustrative list, but it can help you understand what kind of universities will you be doing your MS from if you decide to do. Now, talking about intention again, MBA is much more generic degree. At the same time, you go through a generic program first in MBA, and then you can pick up your specialization as well. So for example, my specialization is from strategy and in public policy. I have a lot of friends who did their entire specialization from finance, from marketing, IT, operations. MS on the other hand is much more specialized degree in itself. So you could be doing Master of Science in Math, Master of Science, Master in Accounting, Master of Science and Engineering, Master of Analytics, Business Analytics. So the subject in which you do your Masters in itself become a much more specialized topic itself. So unlike an MBA, if you have clarity that this is what you want to do, you rather do an MS. When it comes to exams, for MBA, GMAT is primarily the exam for MBA, but now a lot of schools have opened GRE applicability as well. So if you have taken your GRE, you can apply for the topmost MBA program. MS on the other hand is largely GRE and TOEFL based. TOEFL basically checks for your English speaking capabilities because you study abroad. And then of course you have GRE, you have to crack GRE. The bar of getting into an MS with a mediocre to high GRE is relatively high for MS, but for topmost MBA programs, you have to get 710, 720 and above. You have to be in the topmost quartile. With that, we move to the eligibility, which becomes kind of pretty interesting. So for example, for eligibility for an MBA, for the topmost programs, for the topmost programs, you need 3 to 5 years of experience. On the other hand, for MS, you could be a fresher and you could still apply. And that I interestingly feel is a very interesting component because of which many students apply for MS. And that is where I think I want to talk about the power of having a work experience and rather than just jumping from one degree to the other. I know of few students from my own organization, Global Governance Initiative, who studied for an MS abroad because they had nothing else going on in their life. And they spent so much money and then eventually had to come back to India without a job, and they had spent so much money already. And then they joined my organization because they wanted to pivot into management consulting, policy or product. But then my heart went out to these students who had already wasted so much money. You could have gotten a job, or even if you were struggling for a job, you could have come to us or someone else earlier, but you could have saved a lot of money. So do know that the probability as an Indian of going abroad and then getting a job without being from a topmost institute is going to be competitive, right? So don't have that really all rosy picture that you are going to study abroad and then you are going to get a job abroad. You can get as well, but it's going to be pretty competitive if you're not from a topmost university. With that, we talk about the most interesting component, and I know that you can already see the numbers, but quickly walking you through them. The fees, of course, for topmost MBA program could be upwards of 1 crore, and for US geography, the MS program could cost anywhere between 20 to 40 lakhs. Of course, this is geography. The answer will depend from geography to geography. The kind of jobs that you get in terms of return on investment or the career that you build in particular sector for MBA could be in management consulting, banking, product management and strategy. For MS, it could be in engineering. You could join as an engineer. You could join in the math and science departments, in a lot of research departments of leading organizations. Last but not the least, so drum roll, the section that you have been waiting for in terms of the kind of jobs you can get from Dartmouth, Tufts, Stanford, Yale, Columbia. You can easily get a salary of 130,000 and above. In fact, after 2 years of my MBA in Dubai, I was personally earning a $130,000 salary. And once again, this is for the US as a market, or if you're in Dubai, I was earning in dollars. And that is when you are earning, you are graduating from topmost Ivy League level institutes. So FT top 30, 35 schools. And then MS on the other hand, if you're lucky to get a job, then the kind of job that you can get could hover in the range of $50,000 to $100,000. So that's largely the comparative analysis I had for all of you. And like I always say, if you need more help, I'm giving a lot of free information on my YouTube channel already. But if you need more help to get into management consulting, public policy and product management, feel free to check out Impact MBA Scholar Program at my education venture, globalgovernanceInitiative.org. With that, I hope that you're doing cheers with me on chai. Let's have another sip. I'm a chai fan. I'll see you very much soon. Ciao, ciao.